Mag ik geluid? Mag ik geluid? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. First, there is a program announcement. On the first day of the conference, we unfortunately had to cancel the anonymous speech about anonymous versus Scientology. There are a couple of more anonymous people here, and they decided to sort of slam together a lecture. The iPhone talk at 7 o'clock at the Monty Hall is cancelled, and that is being replaced, not because of that, but that gave Anonymous a slot to present their sort of quick and fast lecture. So 7 o'clock in the Monty Hall, there is a talk about Scientology and Anonymous, and I hope you all come. Today, I have a really, really happy announcement. In 1999, we started Bits of Freedom, funded by lots of money from one of the starters of Access for All, Philippe Rodriguez. The first employee was Maurice Wessling, who's over there somewhere. Daar, Maurice. Then 2 years later, Shura Nas joined him. Shura, there. Two people working really their asses off to protect digital rights online, and more digital rights offline as well, because since the whole world is getting digitized, all these questions, all these matters, all these procedures apply on the online world more and more. Two people working their asses off, never being sure whether they would still be able to be paid the next year. There never was enough money. Funding was always a really, really big problem. And at one point, we had a really unfortunate coalition of, happenstance. Both of the people working at Bits of Freedom were leaving. One already had a job, another one was all of them getting really, really tired. I was supposed to be the chair. I was supposed to be the CEO interim. I got cancer. Suddenly there was nothing. So in 2006, we had to stop Bits of Freedom. We kept the name, wanting to protect it, wanting also to keep open our options to perhaps find new funding, perhaps start once over again. A year and a half ago we tried, we had ideas, we didn't have money. And then suddenly, April this year, one of the people who had been working at Bits of Freedom as a volunteer, and who by then switched to being a full-time lawyer at a really, really prestigious firm, got really bored with all the corporate stuff and thought, fuck, I worked at Bits of Freedom, that was real fun. And he started talking with people, and in April this year, we had a 50-page document of what he wanted to do with Bits of Freedom. The document was so good that he was able to get money for 3 years from Internet for All. He's going to start, as of now. Ladies and gentlemen, it's with great relief and immense pleasure that I can say Bits of Freedom is back online.
Thank you, Karin. Digital technologies developed in the past decades carry within them great promise. Let me tell you about my first encounter with that promise. It must have been 1994 or 1995. It must have been a 14K4 modem. My family and I were no early adapters. But for most people, those were the first days of the internet. Those were the days that coffee machines made headlines. Those were the days that playing chess over the internet with some guy from Japan you never met was something you told to your friends at high school. Those were the days that a single line of ASCII or a floppy disk could mean the world to you. Those days are long gone, but the promise of digital technologies made a lasting impression on me. Everyone could start its own website and publish it to the world. You were no longer dependent on the goodwill of corporations to create new software or to connect with your friends. Digital technologies gave each individual powerful tools to participate in a global community. Meanwhile, security experts, aware of the privacy risks associated with these technologies, developed technologies to be able to enjoy the privacy we enjoyed in the analog days, also in the digital days. And as is coming with revolutions, people struggled to keep up. New laws were extended. Old laws were created. Old laws were extended. New corporations used the internet to their advantage. Old corporations couldn't keep up and struggled to survive. The Dutch government at that time also tried to determine its position. After careful deliberation, it formulated in 1998 a central principle for thinking about how we should apply these laws to new online phenomena. The principle read, that which applies offline should apply online. The law, according to the Dutch government, should make no distinction between bits and bricks. No distinction between the physical and the virtual. No distinction between the analog and the digital. It led to much resistance. It was feared that the restrictions of the offline world were transposed to the online world. It was feared that the promise of freedom was clipped at the wings. This was the time Bits of Freedom started. Under the lead of Maurice and Shura, Bits of Freedom fought hard to ensure that this promise of freedom did not turn into a threat of control. But as Karin told you, it had to end in 2006. Since then, however, it appears that this already questionable principle is being substituted for something far worse. It appears that the new principle is that which you wouldn't apply offline, we will gladly apply online. Let me go to some of the examples we encountered since Bits of Freedom closed its doors. Let me start with databases. Huge databases. Databases being built at enormous speed, containing highly private and sensitive information, while the security is questionable, while the legitimacy is questionable, while the need, therefore, is even more questionable. Telecommunications data. Dutch internet providers have to retain traffic, collect traffic data and location data of all subscribers for a period of 6 months for internet traffic and for a period of 12 months for normal traffic. For other types of traffic. Now, mind you, the minister initially wanted to use a retention period of 18 months, but after resistance, he caved in. Now, let's reverse this logic for once and ask ourselves, what would happen if we would